Welcome to the Screen Time Continuum. It is a wonderful Monday. I almost said Wednesday. It's a wonderful Monday here. We are coming to you live and, in the real. So we're here for you on the Screen Time Continuum on a Monday to give you a new review, something that we haven't discussed, something that actually just came out. I want to say 3 days ago is when it dropped onto the streaming sites. So right here, right now, I'm going to have to give you a spoiler alert. Again, I'm going to do it as early as I can because this movie is fresh. I don't even know if Hulu knows it's up on the app yet. It's that fresh. This movie is called No One Will Save You. It is available on Hulu. This is your spoiler alert. It has only been out for 3 days. I wouldn't say it's been highly anticipated, but apparently it was anticipated by certain people, like people who like thrillers and sci-fi chase movies. And because of that, like once again, this is your spoiler alert. Now, if you're still here after I just said spoiler alert 3 times, gave you the understanding of what this is and how long it's been out, shame on you. You about to catch these spoilers, but we do appreciate you for being here. And for all of those who have seen this movie already, or you're interested in seeing it, but you want to know how we feel, whatever your notion is on this movie, we appreciate you for tuning in right here to Screen Time Continuum to our review of No One Will Save You. My name is Keelan, and I am here with the boys as usual. Nick, Mike, what's going on, fellas?
Happy Monday, man.
Happy Monday, yes, indeed. I also want to note this is the first movie that we actually watched in person together.
It is.
For our reviews.
Yeah. It's actually nice. We got together yesterday. We all watched it together. It was fun. I enjoyed myself. And it was, something that we used to do a lot when we were younger folks, was go to the movie theater and watch movies together. So it was nice to relive that.
Yes, indeed.
My back won't allow me to go to theaters anymore. Getting too old.
Your back might allow you, but we got to pay for those reclining seat theaters.
That's right.
What do they call those? They call those movie lounges now, right?
Yeah. Basically, you get a lazy boy to yourself.
Crazy. And they're huge.
It was like $40.
All right. So yeah, No One Will Save You is a movie that came out in 2023. Again, it dropped on September 22nd. But that honestly is all I know off the top of my head. Hey Nick, can you help us out with the specifics?
Sure thing. Yes, like Keelan said, it just dropped on Friday, I believe, or Thursday? Friday. It came out on Friday. It's rated PG-13. It is directed by Brian Duffield, and it's written by Brian Duffield, and it stars Caitlin Dever, Elizabeth Kulev, Zach Duhame, and let's see, Laurel L. Murray, Geraldine Singer, and Dane Rhodes. Oh, and you're on mute there, bud. I'll give you the tagline. The tagline is: an exiled, anxiety-ridden homebody must battle an alien who's found its way into her home. There you go.
That's actually pretty accurate. Mm-hmm. We don't always get the most accurate of plots. What I was saying when I was on mute was I was surprised when I looked to realize that the cast list was so long, but then you realize if you're on screen for longer than like 5 seconds, they're going to give you the credit.
That's true. But my question is, did any of them get an actual credit?
Ooh, I know what you mean. That is a great question.
I don't think anybody's SAG card got filled for this one.
Yeah, you're right. I could see that. Except for
the main character. Yeah,
I was thinking maybe the mom.
Kristen Devers, I think.
Her name is Caitlin Dever.
Caitlin Devers. What were you saying, Mike? Sorry.
I was saying I think probably the mom got some credit because she had the most pivotal moment in the movie for me.
We'll get to that. Knock it off.
She made an audible sound.
That was probably the most human audible sound in the whole movie, aside from Braden's guttural sounds, but we'll get to those. Mm-hmm. So Nick just gave you guys the plot line as Google gives it. Let's do some first impressions and give our rounds. So my first impressions and what I think this movie was about. This movie is about a girl named Bryn who's going through some crisis. We don't know much about the crisis, but once the aliens get introduced, you start to find out about the crisis because apparently the aliens care. And that's probably one of the more interesting parts of the movie to me. But this is a really interesting and unique film. I would call it a modern silent film, easily. I heard a lot of I saw a lot of the reviews that I was reading through and looking through say that they were less than 15 words. I counted 6. Now, if you count some of the background noises, if you could make out some of those words, because most of those you couldn't really hear, then maybe you could get up to 15. But I counted 6 words in this entire movie. So I'm calling this a modern day silent film. And that in itself is one of the most enjoyable parts about this. We talk about this often, films that tell the appropriate story visually, but the verbiage just doesn't match up. It's almost like they understood that too many words would destroy the point they were trying to get across or whatever the mystery they were trying to get through. And because of that, there's very limited dialogue in this movie. I want to say none of the dialogue that comes is accompanied by 2 actors. It's one person basically either talking to the camera or talking to themselves. So that in itself carried a lot of weight for me. Just the lack of words, the excess of imagery, and a lot of the other things I want to say in my initial, what we're going to talk about anyway, like, what was what and how everything happened. So I liked it. Cinematically, I liked it. First time in a long time. Let me not say first time, but it's relieving to see a movie who had a lot of dark scenes and you could still see things. It's relieving to know that they used a lot of different sounds and none of those sounds disappeared or were too loud or were nerve-wrenching unless they were supposed to be. These are things that not every movie can execute, and I feel like this movie did those things great. I'm sure you guys are going to mention some things and probably say some things you hated about it too. I'm not going to say any things I disliked. I'll save that for the long talk.
For sure. Mike?
Okay. I enjoyed the movie. It's very reminiscent of a previous film. I didn't mention it to you guys the other day, but it's reminiscent of a film called The Host. It's about an alien invasion where parasites take over humanity, and they deem humanity to be too violent to be allowed to function on their own. And this movie reminded me a lot of that without words, but still enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. We'll get into it a little bit more. I can give you a little more comparative information about it if you really want to go into the other movie too. But yeah, I thought it was I knew it was familiar to me. It didn't really hit me right away, but it was familiar to me. But I did enjoy it. It's kind of a few other movies that are similar to it too.
Yeah.
Because I'm deep into the thrillers and the aliens and the zombies and monsters and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I like the movie. I thought it was a pretty good flick, man. We've seen a lot of bad stuff in the past few years of doing this show. I don't know if I can necessarily call this bad. Now, I think there's going to be some points of contention about the intention of the story, or maybe some of the perceived plot holes that might be there. But I think I have answers to all of those, so we'll see. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I love the fact that I watched this the second time with you guys last night. And when I watched it the first time, I didn't even realize that it was mostly silent, which means that it did a very good job at visually telling a story. Because I just didn't even click to me until Mike said something. We were like 30 minutes into the movie and it's like, has any word ever been said yet? And we're like, oh yeah, wait, no, not a one.
And I thought that was the perfect time to observe it because it was like, hey, wait, we are all kind of reeled in and ain't said a word.
Nothing. Yeah. So I think the visual storytelling is really strong in this movie. I think it's a good monster movie, which is okay. I mean, like the I don't know if the horror elements are there, but it is a PG-13 flick, so I don't know how much you can get out of a PG-13 movie. But yeah, I liked it, and I like the ending. And a lot of people who have seen this movie do not like the ending, so we'll talk about that.
I wouldn't call it horror. I would think more of a thriller.
Thriller is better, for sure. Yeah, definitely not horror.
people don't like the ending or they don't understand the ending?
A little bit of both.
I think it's both.
Yeah,
it's got to be.
I actually feel both.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll talk about that. I think that we'll probably spend a good amount talking about the ending. So
yeah.
Fade to black.
Yes, there you
go. So something I said off air. This movie's title is only part of a statement. No one will save you but yourself, or save yourself, or however you want to look at that. But nobody. It's no one else's duty to protect you. It's your job. Mm-hmm. That is not as evident as you would think, the understanding of that, until you kind of get to the end of the movie and you start thinking about it and you go, wait, is that what happened? Oh snap, that's kind of what happened. Okay, that part I don't understand. I gotta watch it again to figure out why that makes sense. But for the most part, I can appreciate that this movie took its time. And it actually gave us the details that were necessary and not the details that they thought were going to be fun and entertaining. It's like, no, we only need to know so much. And that's why it's not a lot of words.
Yeah, I think also it didn't need to take its time because of the visual storytelling, because the alien arrives within the first 15 to 20 minutes of the movie.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's also a rare thing. You're right.
Yeah. So I think what's good about it is that the first 15 minutes or so are building up who the character Bryn is and what her circumstances are. And then we just jump right into, oh shit, there's an alien in the house.
Right.
So,
and
I think that's kind of good, because if it were more of a slow burn, there were a lot of people who are trying to compare this to Signs and saying like Signs is better. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't like
It's
Signs.
not even the same thing.
It's not.
I don't see how
I actually did like Signs, but it's not the same kind of movie. It's not even telling the same kind of story.
The only thing they're similar in is crop circles.
Yeah, and I think that Signs kind of leaned heavily
on. A stretch.
We're not going to show you the aliens until the very last minute. So when the aliens finally come out, they look stupid as hell. And then water. That's all
I didn't mind that. Water. I didn't mind any of that. I really didn't mind any of that.
I think there was kind of an homage to Signs in this when she was using the boiling water. I think that's what they were kind of referencing a little bit.
Yeah, I think that was a choice to make that a universal weapon against them. Mm-hmm. Which is something I want to talk about.
Well, I mean, when you think about a young woman in the country with no guns, that don't make sense. So boiling water, why not?
Yeah.
I think the boiling water was just a nod to Signs, to be honest, because they literally just threw glasses of water to kill an alien. So stupid.
Could be. I know M. Night Shyamalan ding dong.
So there was something else I wanted to say right before we started, and I blanked on it. But this movie begins by letting us know that there are 1.35 home invasions per year. 1.35 million home invasions per year. I did not understand at first why that was important, but immediately you realize, like, oh, I see what they're saying. Like, you say it was a home invasion, but was it just aliens?
How many of those 1.3 million were aliens?
Yeah.
That's what the movie's saying.
Go look in your backyard, see if you see a circle.
Yeah.
And so they say they're the home invasions and the aliens. With the crop circle thing, really quick, I do want to ask, can somebody explain to me why aliens can't figure out how to land on asphalt?
I don't think that oh, right. Yeah. Well, it is kind of in the sticks, so,
Maybe it's not them landing. Maybe it's just the damage from the tractor beam.
No, it is. It is the damage from the tractor beam, but it's like they did a lot in this movie, and I'm saying this before we even start. They did a lot in this movie to clean up the traces of them.
Why leave that?
Why leave crop circles everywhere?
Well, we find out at the end that it doesn't matter.
They don't, it don't matter at all.
Well, to be honest, crop circles are that's a bit different, because those aren't what we actually get in this movie. We get destroyed pieces of earth.
You're right.
Whereas a crop
circular
circle,
burns.
right? Whereas in crop circles, you actually have pressed down foliage or flora. Yeah, it's the weed is usually pressed in a circular pattern. It's not actually destroyed, and it's in a design. This was just like a circular, like a C shape.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. This is more like you set a hot cup down on the wrong wood table.
Yeah, I'll go along with that for sure.
I like that. I like the way we were able to figure out, like, oh, okay, it's not as serious as we might want it to be.
Right.
So yeah, can't figure out the other thing I was gonna say, so it's not important. This movie ran for 93 minutes long. I think that's a little longer than it needed to be, but not too much longer than it needed to be. Maybe 15 minutes, realistically. Only about 15 minutes could have been cut from this. So yeah, let's get into it. So Bryn is a small town outcast, and her best friend Maud is no longer with us because she, we haven't figured out why, but she's no longer with us, and we find out very early that Bryn still feels a way about not having her best friend. Now, we don't know why her best friend's not around, but she don't have her best friend.
And her parents are dead.
The whole town also hates her, which that all was kind of weird to me. Like this orphaned child who lives
like
in
Naruto.
Town. Say it again.
Like Naruto.
Are you saying she's going to turn to the nine-tailed fox? Is that what are we talking about?
Possibly.
I don't even know why I rode that train with you. Shame on
I don't either.
Shame on me. But yeah, she's lost her friend. We don't know why as of now, but we do know her parents are dead. And we also see very early that the entire town does not like Bryn. She's a huge recluse. And if we're being honest, she's a bit of a weirdo because who has an exact replica of the town they live in their front room?
Eccentrics and artists.
I'm gonna let you answer that and say okay.
Yeah. Yeah, model town, and she's very meticulous about it, and it's all set out perfectly, and it looks nice and it's clean and all that stuff. Which is, I think, a little bit of foreshadowing, right?
Yes, I think
trying to let you know what might happen later.
I think the importance of that, I heard something that made me think the importance of the model town is more significant than we may have alluded to. Which is why I made sure to bring it up now, because later I'm gonna have to bring it back up. So we see Bryn. She wakes up in the middle of the night because she hears thumping in the house, and immediately she goes out. She's looking. She ain't got no weapon, but she's like, "What's going on? Why is my front door?"
She had a curling iron first. Come on,
right?
Let's give her some credit.
Unplugged.
If it wasn't hot, that's a paperclip in her hand. It's just
I shuddered to think what she was trying to do with that curling iron.
I've heard stories in the hood, and I don't think they were pleasant.
The roles were about to be reversed. She's like, I know what y'all aliens get up to. Now it's my turn.
Oh, she didn't know it was aliens at that point. She just thought it was probably a person. Hopefully not.
So what y'all saying is she put the hanger on the stove and then
moving right along.
If you know, you know. I'm not giving more detail.
I wasn't asking.
So something that I noticed in the movie is the home invasion scenario plays into this movie because we find out very early as Bryn's home is being ransacked. She realizes it's being ransacked by a creature, not a person. And we don't know at first, but I think maybe about 3 scenes into their whole runaround, we see the full figure of what it is that's chasing her, what's after her, and it's a gray. I was kind of excited about that part because it was like, oh, snap. They not only showed us the monster early, they gave us the full description. We know exactly what we're looking at. Like, you could pause the movie there, go and do some Google search, and find out what grays are capable of. And I'm sure some of it might match up, right?
I mean, up until the point when she went under the bed and then they had the finger toe things reach down, you kind of wasn't sure what it was. And it was just like, finger toes, and you're like, ugh.
That's an alien. The finger toes thing reminded me of I don't know if you guys ever watched Assassination Classroom, but it reminded me of the instructor from Assassination Classroom.
I have seen it, and I don't remember.
Oh yeah, he was the yellow alien with the smiley face and the tentacles.
Right.
Yeah, and he wore a cloak, so all you saw, it looked like he had a body. It's just tentacles.
Yeah.
I will say that the sound design is quite good for this movie.
You sure Christopher Nolan didn't do it?
I mean, it sounds better than Christopher Nolan to me, because we wouldn't be able to hear the dialogue if it was Christopher Nolan.
That's true. That's true. You hear the cars passing by 3 blocks away, but you can't hear the dialogue right in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm. And it's an interesting take on the grays too. Like it's not just the cookie cutter type gray. It's more of a tall gray, and they sort of can contort their bodies a little bit, and they're a little bit more grotesque, which is cool.
Yeah, I would call them a gray species rather than that.
We'll get into that.
Yes,
we will. Actually, I have that as a section too. The types of. So Bryn has her little battle. Like, I'm going to speed through the first one because I don't think it's as impactful and pivotal as they want it to be. Right. The first one is kind of just suspenseful. She's running around. She's running from it. She ends up in her basement. All kinds of things. No, actually, sorry. I jumped ahead. So Bryn's running from this gray alien. It's gone outside. She's closed all the house up, which all of us were confused. Like, did you just lock yourself in the house? It got in the house already, ma'am. Maybe try running. Because
Maybe.
Being in the house ain't gonna work. Well, we were wrong. Being in the house was actually her best option because she at least was able to find a weapon. And when she was running, we found out that, well, we had already kind of discovered that the aliens have telekinetic powers. And the alien started dragging her towards it, which I'm not gonna lie, I actually appreciated the way it showed them using their telekinetic powers. You know, the hand gestures. We saw at one point where it wasn't just like, oh, it's just on my mind. It's like, no, I have to do a certain gesture and direct you a certain way. I liked that.
Like Ebony
Maw? They don't have to do that. Say it again.
Nothing. Never mind. Sorry.
Like Ebony Maw.
Yeah, like, that's out of pocket. Why would you do that?
Sorry. It came out before I could catch myself.
It's fine. It just, what it did in my brain made me like, all right, I see what you did there. And you're right. So as it pulls her towards it, and she has what was that? It was like a church bell?
Like it looked like a little building that was kind of pointed. Yeah.
And she used that and she shoved that into the side of the Gray's head, like right into the eye socket, basically. And apparently that also is where the brain is located because she killed it like immediately.
Or it could be its heart. We don't know.
You said that. You said that it could be where it's hard.
Yeah. I do want to note something because I think this is important to the conversation we're going to have in the future, because I think I'm familiar with some of the criticisms that you guys might have about the movie. Bryn is the one that makes the first blow.
Yes.
Correct.
The aliens don't have any intention on killing her.
Nope. Or anyone. I think we're on the same page, Nick.
Well, there's an argument for that, because when the parasite goes in, you don't know what the intention was for each and every person. It could be to kill.
Well, the parasite goes in while people are sleeping.
Right. So that's something important to remember.
Oh, man, I hope I didn't skip ahead.
No. Well, no, but I just want to state this because this is a part of the beginning. The initial invasion begins while everyone is asleep.
Yep.
So what Bryn sees the next day as she's trying to get out of the town is proof that the reason they do it at the time they do it is because they will get the least amount of fight back.
Yep.
You know, like we saw one of the weaker seemingly humans in this movie basically fight off half of their attack force.
Because you see what the first alien that she kills does is trap her with the fridge door.
Yep.
Now we kept saying, why doesn't she kill? Why aren't they killing her? They're so powerful. They don't.
Right.
They don't kill anybody.
That's not their mode in life. That's not who they are. They're not human.
Right. And then she kills it on accident.
Yep. Yeah. Fear reaction.
In self-defense.
That is an important factor in this movie. fear reaction. She feared for her life, and she killed an alien. Now,
I made a comparison for that last night too.
I got you. Right. We ain't gonna talk about that comparison.
No.
We're gonna compare it to something else in this movie.
Okay.
So the next day after she's killed the first alien, she gets up, she goes into the town, and she seemingly heads straight to the police department. And as she's on her way, we see everybody kind of snarking at her, calling her a freak. She also almost gets hit by a car the same day as she's leaving the department. But as she gets to the police department, we see the same police officer who seems to be the chief that she saw the day before kissing a lady. And we see the same lady he was kissing. Now, we were trying to figure out who they were. I thought initially that her last name was Collins, so that because we saw Jay Collins on the badge, that was her father. I was wrong. That was her best friend's parents, and the mothers hawked a loogie and spit it right in her eyeball.
Disrespect.
I'm trying to figure out what Mike's question was last night and why we couldn't get a real answer to that, which is, ain't that battery?
Yeah.
But it's her husband that she's next to. He ain't gonna file charges against his wife.
The chief was there to witness, and 2 officers at the desk. They are obligated.
That's why. But Nick makes a point. That's why everybody just.
I don't care. The other 2 officers are obligated.
Thin blue line, bro.
Small town rules, bro. Everybody know what she did, and ain't no way to live that down. So she's the ostracized person in this story.
Nobody has sympathy for her.
None. Even though she deserves it, clearly, when we get the whole, it's like, why did y'all hate her?
I don't know about deserve.
She screwed up, definitely. She did wrong.
They were kids.
She screwed up, but they were kids, and that's where I'm like, the whole town. This is kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's why I said she like Naruto.
Had they been able to convince us that she was like in her mid-20s, maybe, but she was only about 16, 17 years old, maybe 12, but about 16, 17 years old.
I'd say like
maybe
13.
even a little younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, they looked a little younger to me than 16.
Well, no, sure. when it occurred, when the which we're actually
that's what I mean.
Yeah, when it occurred, they were much younger. I'm gonna say this might be 4 or 5 years later. It seems like a few years later.
You think so?
Well,
Bryn is in her mid-20s at least.
Right.
I think she's in her early 20s.
Maybe, I don't know.
But she is allowed to live on her own and nobody's there. So I guess you would have to kind of give her.
She does dress like she's from the 1950s, so I can't.
She's very Stepford.
Very modest.
Yes.
We were talking. So she catches the loogie in the face, and so we find out, and I'm gonna jump ahead just to get to the point of this really quick. We find out a little later in the story through some flashbacks after she saw the sheriff or the chief and the spit and all of that kind of stuff. And we just kind of put together like, oh, that's Maud's mom and father. Maud is her best friend.
What kind of name is that?
An old one. We find out a little later in the movie that Bryn killed her best friend Maud out of fear, the same way she killed the alien. Maud shoved her to the ground. She felt like she was in danger and there was nothing she could do. Maud was clearly bigger than her as a child.
I think we just kind of blew our load right there.
You think so?
I mean, like, that's the big reveal at the end.
Yeah.
It's the big reveal, but it ain't the big connection.
Yeah. No, it's not necessarily the ending, but it is kind of like
it's a major plot point.
It's a huge plot point. Okay, so maybe I did a little bit. What I felt was once we introduced the parents and then we kind of get that gist, we now understand why everybody hates her. Now let's just move on with Bryn, because
I can't agree with that though, because the whole town hates her, and it's not like she wasn't a little kid who made a mistake.
Right.
And the whole town hates her and ostracizes her.
What I would assume is her mother was already considered a weirdo. So I believe that her and her mother, like we saw in a little later in the movie in one of the flashes, they were the one she built that mini town with her mom. So her mom probably has the same disposition she does in life. You see what I'm saying?
No, I don't. I think that's a huge reach.
You think so?
I do.
Even with the kitchen scene during the flashback?
I don't know,
Yeah.
man. If you've been in a town of like 100 people, those people don't forget shit.
Don't forget shit.
I have actually recently.
Right. Well, now go kill somebody in that town.
Yeah, don't do it.
See if they forgive you.
That I have been around the people.
You know what?
They're aware for sure,
You're
but
just trying to
everybody
How
does.
about your parlaying with murderers?
Well, I've done that since I was a kid. You know that,
I know we all. Welcome to Los Angeles.
right?
But yeah, I hope I didn't push us too far into the weeds on that one. But my general point was to get to that, and then I'm gonna correlate it later. The whole spitting thing and everything, I don't think it's warranted, even knowing what we know about Maud and Bryn's situation. But I do think that became a very pivotal thing for the storyline, because what we do see through this entire movie is Maud's the only one that Bryn's the only one that it seems like the alien's trying to get to understand and know. Because again, we know they're not trying to hurt anybody. So even though she's fighting back and she's killed one of them, they can smell it on her, I believe. They're aware she's still human. But we also noted there were other humans left the next day when she was out in the town.
Yes, they hadn't finished their takeover yet.
Right, nothing was done. So I'm under the impression that at that point, the only thing they could do was be curious about Bryn, because even the other people who were around weren't running. They were freaking out, but they weren't running. Maud was trying to, why I keep calling her Maud? Bryn was trying to save herself.
Well, okay, so they're not running because they're asleep.
No. In the daytime on the bus. The next day when
because of the
away.
freak, yeah, because there's
Because they probably just thought people were crazy.
But there's also only 2 people that I think were actually real humans at that point.
Yeah.
The bus driver and then one of the passengers.
Correct.
Right. And they probably were like, man, what's wrong with this crazy motherfucker?
Yeah.
Right.
They both happen to be black dudes. And I think thinking to myself, man, they're like, God damn these white people, man.
When you're right, you're right.
Right.
People are being wild.
It's so cold. I say I really have no response for that. I have no response for that.
I don't know what y'all talking about. Moving right along.
There we go. So after Bryn is run off the bus, she's basically run out of the police station. She's ignored everything, all of that. She don't go look for no weapon. She just go back home.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes back and she sees that the body is still there, and she peeks at it, and then you see something's coming out of his mouth, and it's like, oh no, that's not blood. Something crawled out of it. And that's when we learn about the parasites. Even though we saw the parasite in one of the humans' throats, like we saw the
mailman.
Right.
Yeah. And the neighbor.
This is the confirmation that we have that it's the aliens that are there that are producing these things, whatever they are at the time. Let's see. Oh, and from there, what do we get? We get another tractor beam. That's when we really start seeing the tractor beam come out in full force as a weapon. It hadn't been used. Actually, I don't think we've seen tractor beams used as weapons in many movies.
Oh, because they had to. Well, first they needed to pick up their dead buddy.
True.
Right.
And then it dropped. The mothership dropped one of the imps.
Right. This is when it gets. This is when it goes down.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they dropped one of the imps, which would be a smaller version, more like a brute, infantry grunt.
Yeah. Like a scout. Maybe.
Right, like a scout. You have a higher class one come down as well at the same time with a higher level of intellect, and they're
tall
clearly there
gray.
for research.
Yeah. And that the tall grays are the only ones that have telekinesis. The imp doesn't have telekinesis, and the spider doesn't.
Or they don't show it, at least.
Right.
Well, I have a theory about they all have different ranks, and I do believe the spider has telekinesis. I don't believe they use it for a specific reason.
Because it would make sense?
No.
Oh.
Because he's got to do all the flight pattern stuff.
Yeah. Right. We gonna get to them
air traffic control.
Right.
We're gonna get to them aliens tutting in a minute.
Yeah.
Hey, I said he was a village person.
For sure.
He was doing the YMCA.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, no, I believe that the spider's level of telekinesis would have been so powerful that all it can do is destroy with theirs because they're so large.
Maybe.
Yeah, I
never
think
know.
that they could only move cars and junk like that. Whereas the smaller ones, the intellectual ones, we'll call them, they seem to have more of a full understanding of their ability versus just, oh, I can do this.
I think the spiders are the brute force, the tall grays are the brains, and then the imps are like their little drones that they sort of just
I kind of saw it differently. I kind of thought the imps were kind of like the brute force, and the spiders were more tactical.
Maybe.
I can understand that.
Go
the spiders seem to think a little more than the brute.
Right, because the brute force was kind of like when he was swinging like a gorilla through the hallway.
Right.
And then he's got the claws you got to have power if you got claws.
Right. Well, and I'm glad you say power, because that's my thing. So we know that there's 3 of them. They all have a level of strength. I think the intellectual gray is the weakest physically. I think that one does have the strongest telekinesis, like the most control over the ability, but I do believe the spider has it. And I'll explain why I think the succession, right? I think that the feet, the appendages of the tall grays, I think that is to accelerate movement and make it smoother, like for turning and things like that, even though we did find out that they can contort and things like that. I think
you mean like instead of using leg strength, they use their finger toes?
Correct.
Gotcha. That makes sense when you put it that way.
Because that gives you more multiple foundations
dexterity.
To use. More dexterity. I believe I'm sorry, I'm reading them because I have them written down right here. The parasite. I think the parasite is their strongest weapon because it can control other things. And I also believe that there was a point where the reason she saw a crop circle outside when nothing had actually happened yet, even before the alien was introduced, is because that was them trying to allude to us that the aliens might have tried this before with the animals of our planet and it didn't work. So they had to move up the food chain. And the tall grays have that ability to peek inside the brain if they were able to touch you. I believe you. Right. Now, why I believe that the intelligent gray and the bigger spider have similar abilities is I think that in a sense, this could just be a progression of their stages, like their evolution. So you start as a grunt, depending on, let's say if they're like humanoids, right? So everybody starts as a baby, but your genetic makeup and all of those things are going to determine what you become later. So
I don't know if that's the case. I think they're all different genuses. Yeah. I think that because like at the end of when we see them all on the ship, those are all the tall grays.
Correct.
Well, let's not skip over the obvious.
No, I know.
and we'll get back to. I want to circle back to that later when we get to that, because let's remember the ship was alive.
Yes, it is.
So that's a whole being within itself too.
Yeah.
So we just broke that down just because I think that was one of the funner things is like learning more about the aliens and like, all right, wait, we got how many now?
So that's why I like this as a movie, because it's a legit monster movie that's not afraid to show the monster. I'm just over movies that are like, oh, we're gonna hide the monster from you, and you only be able to see it from corners or glimpses. And, like, it's just like it gets so tired after a while. This movie is, yes, exactly right. I mean, this movie
it's a suspense trope. That's why
it is. It is a trope, and this movie doesn't tease you. It just gives you the whole thing. And I think the idea of introducing not just one type of alien, but 2 others is the sort of like subversion of expectations. Or 3 others with the ship, right? Or 4 with the parasite.
Yeah. Dun, 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 big reveal.
The parasite would be its own entity. That would be that would be the beginning stage.
Right. That's them. That's their eggs.
Right.
Because maybe people turn into the grays when they're infected with it.
Maybe.
And that's why you have the different races, the spider versus the imp. Maybe those are different alien species they took over, and they eventually turn into a form of gray.
We did talk about that yesterday. Is maybe the parasite is what's controlling everything,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the life force that is above, that's floating around, maybe that's what actually has abducted everything and everybody and taken over the entire universe and not just one planet.
The ship is like the Borg, right? It's the higher plane, and then you have all of the like little robots, the biological robots that spread the eggs.
Nanites, basically.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So she fights off the imp.
Go ahead.
I was saying she fights off the imp, and I thought it was kind of cute for a little bit. It kept kind of doing cutesy stuff, and I was like, "Is this thing like just like a puppy?" But then it went full crazy.
Well, I think so. I don't. Would this be the right time to kind of say what I think the entire thing was about, the entire invasion?
Oh,
I think it's too early. Too early.
I think it might be too early. Yeah, because we got a lot more to reveal. But again,
we do.
With the imp, does she strike the first blow, or does it try to attack her first?
I don't remember, but I remember.
I know she throws the boiling water at it.
Yeah, it got a lot more upset with the boiling water. Now, and the boiling water is important. So Bryn had an assortment of weapons actually that she used, even though she didn't have any guns. She stabbed the first one with a model house. Hot water on the stove, which she was already boiling. At first, I was like, okay, she's turning on the ice to get warm because gas and stuff's out. It's like, wait, gas can't be out if she just lit her stove. And then you realize that, she's just boiling water. And I'm like, how would she know that boiling water will work?
Because she saw signs.
Well, she did it. She just.
That's right.
That was her favorite.
She didn't know. She was just running with, if it hurt us, it hurt them, which at some point it did hurt her too.
That was her favorite Melly movie.
That was their what movie?
Her favorite Melly movie.
Melly?
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah. No, Melly.
Mel
Gibson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now what? Yeah. I'm like, wait.
Melly Gibson's.
Fair enough.
I didn't want to give him a direct shout out.
yeah, fair enough. So let's see. What are the weapons she used against the aliens? She used the model house. She used boiling water. She used a broomstick. She used fire, and
a lighter.
Well, that would be
a car.
Yeah. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're almost there.
Wait, I figured that was next, no?
Yeah. We have to kill the imp first with the broomstick.
Right, with the
broomstick. And then the spider.
Yeah. You're right. So she has the battle with the imp, and I honestly don't understand how she survived that.
Those claws are not a joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he smashed through the door with him.
This is where I understood, Mike, yesterday where your issue was. Like, why she ain't dead yet? They are too intelligent. They had too many abilities. And for her to not have any clue of what was going on, it's like, so what research did y'all do before y'all tried to invade?
Well, see, again, I might have to argue with that. The imp is probably not as intelligent as the tall gray is. Or even the spider.
Agreed.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That is not unreasonable to say.
Yeah,
if she killed the tall gray first.
She killed it by accident. That wasn't on purpose. She did not do it on purpose. She just had that thing in her hand and her arm swung around. That was it. Like
kind of like with that other situation.
It's actually the alien killed himself because he spun her around.
Yeah,
and
right.
Right. When he said that the first time, I remembered that's exactly why her arm was flying. It wasn't like that other situation where she was fearing for her life and she thought that was the right thing to do.
Right. It was just a fluke.
Yeah.
She manages to kill the imp, I think, because like Mike said, it might just be a brute force type creature where they just send those in to wreak havoc. And so when it breaks the broom, it doesn't realize that that's now a sharp point. It's just like, all right, got to keep trying to kill. And, now you
But was it trying to kill her? Because I don't think it would have been that difficult to actually pull off.
I think it was point in this movie. Subdue her for control.
That's true, because the spider didn't want to kill her either.
The spider, I believe, really could have just killed her immediately.
Yes, very
easily. It was too big.
The first one could have killed her immediately.
Fair.
He had telekinesis.
I think that, yeah. That's exactly. I'm like the very first gray could have taken her out. The second gray, who knew she had taken out the other gray, with the telekinesis after she what was it? The scissors in her hand, and it just
Yes.
flung the
Yeah.
scissors. It flung the scissors past it. Like, girl, you ain't got nothing to do with that. Get out.
Yeah. That one knew I got to be a little bit more careful with you because you're kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Man, the one who flung her out the window.
which showed they were
Yes.
learning.
That's when he was like, "All right, I'm done with you.
Mhm.
He ain't going no more. I ain't even gonna turn around. Just bloop."
Just
Right.
done. And,
That's
and
the
that's
shot.
why I actually did appreciate that particular one because it was not playing no games. We have Big Happy SA Tex, Big Happy San Antonio, Texas. Hey, what's going on, Big Happy?
Thanks for
Shout out to
commenting.
Texas, man. We appreciate you for tuning in.
Mhm.
Big
Yeah,
Happy
yeah.
says, just saw that movie. It was okay. I like the way they didn't talk and you knew what was going on. We agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good visual storytelling.
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't get that often in 2023. That is not a popular thing that people do nowadays, which is what I consider being honest in a film. They sell you a lot of bullshit and expect you to just hang out. But hey, we found one that decided, hey, we're going to tell you exactly what it is. And if you don't like it, guess what? You're here already. Give us our money. And, we gave them the money and we enjoyed it. So, yeah, thanks, Big Happy, for commenting. Thanks for hanging out and watching.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, the whole ability of her to kill these things consistently was just really off-putting to me. I didn't bring it up a lot yesterday because I didn't want to put a damper in it. But I was really like, hey, yo, she done killed way too many of these things.
It's all dumb
Man.
luck, man. It's all dumb luck. She doesn't do it
I
on
agree with that.
purpose.
Look,
Okay, so the imp gets killed because it breaks the broomstick and it creates a sharp point that she's holding.
Lunges again.
And she just runs right into it.
Mhm.
The spider gets killed because he stomps the oil pan out of the car and then gets oil all over the place. And she
doesn't catch fire, so I'm calling bullshit. But
that's a little bit iffy, but she didn't have
Legit.
oil on her. She didn't have oil on her.
She did.
And
But the explosion was right next to her too.
She flew.
She flew.
They did their other guys' due diligence. Knock it off.
Yeah.
She
looked her way into all the kills. It's not like she was like,
She should have soft tissue damage.
She wasn't Sarah Connor trying to kill the Terminator. Like she was just Mr. Magooing her way into these kills.
Right.
Okay, I'm just gonna say this so we do not have to dive too deep on it. The theory on why Sarah Connor cannot be killed by the Terminator is so trash to me.
Well, they let that series go on way too long. I don't even know what the lore is anymore. There's like 5-6 movies. I don't know.
Well, here's what the lore isn't anymore. JC, her son, is no longer the savior, and he's also not Neo, and he's also like he's nobody. He's nothing now. Just
they made it a
ruined
woman.
the whole storyline.
Didn't they make it a woman?
I said ruin the whole storyline. I'm not about to speculate on none of that because I ain't seen no movie.
No, because they made it. They made the whole purpose of the Terminators a woman. And I think Genesis or whatever that. You know what? Let's not even get into that. Let's get back to this movie.
I'm trying to tell you, like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Who cares about Terminator?
You're on your own. I know the originals and the first one with the liquid one, which I think is still one of the originals.
That's the second one.
That's the second one.
To you, right? So
and I'm talking like 4 or 5.
I stopped at Terminator 3. I can't tell you past that. And Terminator 3 was kind of boo-boo. So I said I'm not talking
about
Y'all, come on.
Sorry,
I'm not talking about Terminator. I'm not giving James Cameron any more. No more attention. Come on.
No credits. No nothing. We don't know nothing about that. We talk about no one will save you. So yeah, she gets through all the killing. Like we already talked about how she killed everything. And I personally did not like that whole. Well, I said that last night. I'm saying that again today, and I will say it again because I think I just said it. I didn't like it. The whole we're gonna set the car on fire because the oil's leaking, and then it's gonna explode. Huh? And I think you might need a bigger flame, but
yeah. I mean, I would take more umbrage with it if it wasn't a Mr. Magoo moment and she did it like as a badass thing, but she didn't like it. It just happened.
It did just happen. And
she
you're
just
right.
had the opportunity to do something.
Your observation of her kills being all accidental or incidental is spot on. In fact, I think I'm ashamed of myself for not acknowledging that. Because I thought it while we were watching it, but when I was redoing my notes, I didn't remember that part. And you're right, they were all incidental. She is not a murderer. She is not a killer. She is she is a murderer, but she's not a killer.
Right.
Well,
she is a
off air, I'll address that.
Not intentionally a killer.
Yeah, but that's why I say she's not a killer. She's a murderer. But either way, at the end of the day, this is somebody who doesn't even have the emotional intelligence to understand what's going on with herself, but seemingly has so much emotional intelligence when it comes onto this scenario specifically with the aliens. Like, how are you so understanding of what they're going through, even though you're killing them?
How do you figure that she's understanding?
There comes a point where, maybe I'm wrong. I just thought about that because she was kind of more in stasis. It's not like she could move.
She's just reacting to everything.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Right.
Like I don't think she even has any thoughts because we don't hear them. So like she's just kind of everything is happening to her. She's having 2 really bad nights. That's what's going on.
That's about it. You know what? You're right. I just realized I think I did have that thought when I was doing my notes and I couldn't bring it full circle. So I probably shouldn't have brought that up. I apologize for that.
No, it's cool. I mean, if you think of something, please. But I just think that she's just everything is kind of happening to her. And it's kind of good that way because she's just a foil for us to see the alien stuff.
She's almost a Jane Doe.
She is. And I kind of like that because, especially for the way the ending goes, she's kind of a blank slate. And so, anyways, so she kills the spider sort of accidentally. And this is when the tall gray that has been sitting in the basement.
Yeah.
It's been in the basement the whole time, just kind of waiting for her.
Picture of her and Maud, and ever since then it was enamored with her dad and everything else.
Yes. Which I think is kind of interesting. So she goes down to the basement, right? And that's where the second tall gray is. And she's got the picture, and the alien flicks the scissors out of her hands very casually, and then pulls the
frame.
Pulls the frame out of her hand and sees that it's her and Maud.
And she's struggling to keep it, which I found very interesting because the alien could tell this was something she held near and dear to her, like something she did not want to get rid of.
So this is where I think the aliens fucked up.
Same.
They saw a picture of somebody that meant something to her.
Yep.
They didn't know Maud was dead.
Yep. They didn't find out that until a little bit later, and that's where what I think. Well, no, because then I'm gonna. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So where are we? Because this is where my notes get a little sticky because after she kills the spider, it's like a kerfuffle.
Yeah, so she goes to the second gray. The second tall gray is there. It sees the picture, and she tries to attack it, and it flings her super hard.
Yeah.
And then the tractor beam catches her through the
red
doorway.
One.
Yeah, the red tractor beam catches her. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm right on.
And plays a little basketball with her.
Yes. Bounces her up and down a little bit.
Yeah, that was kind of out of pocket. I was like, they out of pocket for this.
Hey, that's the least they could have. That's the least of what they could have done to her.
Yes.
She killed
at least what
3
they
of
should
them.
have done to her. So they catch her in the tractor beam, they plant her on the ceiling, and then the tall gray that was downstairs comes up and gives her a nice little present in the form of a parasite.
That was disgusting.
Hawks up a hairball.
Right. A living lychee looks like, or a sea anemone. It's so many things that thing looked like, and I think it was gross and dope at the same time because it's
like
very
a giant
hard,
germ.
in my opinion. Say it again.
Like a giant germ.
Yeah. I think it's very difficult to convey something like that on screen, but because they did so well with the monsters and everything else, I was simply just impressed when it came when we saw it. Like, yes, they just keep hitting us with these nice visual effects. I can't be mad at this.
And this is a low budget movie too, by the way. And the visuals aren't terrible. Like they're not the best you've ever seen, but they're not bad.
For a Hulu movie, they are off the charts.
Yeah.
Better than The Flash. And if you know, you know. Because that one,
Better than
It was
I didn't see
bad.
Flash. Better than the Flash, and the Flash.
Yeah,
Never mind. I'm sorry. I'm doing it again.
bro. You don't even have to watch the movie. Just go look up the special effects, and you'll be like, "Wow."
Well, I'm gonna keep all my comments on DC sucks. So you know they don't suck, but they put out some terrible products.
Yeah, they have the best storylines too, and that's what makes it so awful.
The real world storyline. We're not talking about this right now. We
Right.
can do a pop culture because we have plenty of one.
We got lots to talk about.
We could do one on DC. So here we are. She's caught in the tractor beam. She's been implanted with the parasite, and she basically blacks out. She's in her own dream world, and it almost looks like everything is ended. And she wakes up in her bed. She's screaming, but she realizes everything is okay. Right? She doesn't have the scar on her head, which is what let me know she's dreaming. Nick also immediately the amber light, which we all know is a sign of the dream world or the fuzz around. They didn't have the fuzz, but those three things right there usually are signs of, hey, this ain't real.
Right.
And she's seeing everything. She even goes through, that's when she goes through the whole, nope, still too early. That's a little too early. So then I see what you were saying, Nick. Yeah, you're right. That was like the last scene almost.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So the first time she's seeing, her memories of her mother, her memories of being in the home and being happy. And that's where the aliens get the understanding that she has been done dirty by humans as well. And I think the aliens start to identify because the aliens aren't here to hurt or to kill anybody. They just want to be friendly, so to speak, right? But within that, they scare the humans, and there are humans who have killed aliens through time, not just Bryn. And then you put all of that together and you go, oh, they're finding compassion because they see she's been treated bad and she's been ostracized. And they even see it through the people who they had already while they were watching her interactions through the town, right? So now it's, oh my God, she knows what we're going through. Humans don't like her either.
No, I know where you're coming from, but I really just think that they're absolutely ambivalent because when she's put into the dream state, she sees Maud.
Yes.
They have no idea about who she is because they put her dead friend in her dream state. So when you think about what they did to everybody in the town, they put the slug in their throats while they were asleep, and that is supposed to simulate your best memories.
Yeah.
The problem is that the best memories for Bryn are the memories of her dead friend, who in this dream state is an adult. So she knows it's not real. If you went into
the same thing,
if you were asleep and then you went into the best dream you ever had, and then you just never woke up, how would you be able to escape that? You can't escape it. She can only escape because she knows that Maud is dead. Yeah. And so this can't be real.
Yeah, I remember you brought that up last night too, and we kind of correlated on exactly that they catch people in their dream state, so you never come out of the dream. You just don't know what's going on. Now the theory of are they still alive inside there is a whole nother discussion. Like at some point, can Bryn just flip on them, find a way to get the parasites out of everybody, and everything goes back to normal?
Yes,
I don't think she would.
But so during this flashback or this dream state, I forget what exactly happens, but something happens after she apologizes to Maud. And
she just
puts her whole
something happened, and then she puts her hand down her throat and rips it out. Which I was like, first off, that's an unhingeable jaw. Second off, that's a tiny hand.
Yes,
somewhere in there.
I had several thoughts.
And I also thought that meant that it hadn't gotten all the way in yet because she pulled it out of the top of her throat. She would have had to put her hand down her actual throat.
Yeah, she wouldn't have been able to get in it. I don't think she would have been able to get it if she had waited any longer.
Don't mess with my thought pattern.
Yeah. So she snatches it out. She throws it instead of trying to squash it or kills it. She leaves it there. It's kind of like writhing in pain or however. And then you see a tractor beam pull it up. Right after that, what do we see? Bryn's caught in the tractor beam. And I'm like, why didn't you run, lady?
No. Hold on. The slug gets tractor beamed, and then a replica of Bryn gets around the slug. So
Yeah.
their
Forgot about
mentality
that.
is, since you're not going to take the slug, we're going to replicate you since the
And
slug now
replace you.
has you and replace you. Exactly.
So I forgot about that, but what that did make me think when I thought about it earlier, I didn't put it in my notes, I forgot. What it made me think about was there plausibly are other humans who fought back. They just got killed and replicated.
And replaced.
Possibly.
Or they were just abducted and taken to the ship and replicated.
Hey, lucky for them aliens, they had prison shanks.
That's true. She did.
Wait, what? What did I miss?
The replica.
Remember
Yeah.
Yeah, remember the part where the aliens wasn't so peaceful no more, and they shanked her in the stomach a few times?
Oh, you're right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that throws that wasn't killing people out the door just a little bit.
And that's I forgot about that, but I still came to the conclusion that they plausibly did kill some humans, because that's when I did come to the conclusion. Like, we don't know that they didn't kill anybody. We
Stab,
only
stab,
know
stab.
that everything is peaceful when we see it.
Well, I think that they only kill you if they can't slug you.
Yeah.
And I feel like they should have killed her somewhere around the beginning of this movie.
Well, I
That was
think
my
that they-
position then. That's my position now.
I understand, but I just think that they figured that they could slug her. That's all.
She
Well,
catches
they could have.
like,
Somebody did slug her a few times, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, the throat slug.
look, she catching more slugs than a rapper, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Man,
That might have been.
she caught some prison shanks.
So she gets stabbed by her replica. And as they embrace each other, she pulls the box cutter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And slices her jugular. I wonder how she knew
Chekhov's-
exactly where the jugular was.
Prison fight.
Yeah, Chekhov's box cutter, because it was only shown once at the beginning of the movie.
I'm tired of y'all tonight.
Hey, I didn't make this prison movie.
You're right. You're right. It's all spot on. I think that's what makes it so funny. Is like, why is this so good? Why are these jokes so damn good? But right, yeah. So they get a replica. The replica stabs her up. She kills the replica, and because she kills the replica, now they really want to do research. That's when she gets snatched up, right?
Yeah, because she's outside now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Should have stayed in the
No
house.
more house protection.
Stupid.
Yep.
Because there was that one point where she ran back inside and outran the tractor beam, but that was right before she got caught by the red beam upstairs in the window. Which
Right.
I don't know why she never thought to herself, avoid the windows.
I think she noticed it just as it was too late, because she sees the window and then there's a split second and then that tractor beam just goes right at her.
Can I tell y'all what we know because we live in the city? It's because
Stay
she
away from
lives
the
out there in
windows.
the middle of nowhere where she don't have people in white shirts and ties coming up to her door in the middle of the day.
No bars.
Right.
Hey, listen, I talk to you when I'm outside already. Hey, you're human, I'm human. Why are you knocking on my door? It's 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Come on.
Make sure the shades are drawn.
I'm a heathen. I don't want to talk to you.
I'm not that person. I'll never say that I won't talk
I
to
am.
him, because I will talk to him. But what I won't do is I'm not stopping what I'm doing to come stand at my door and talk to you. Catch me in the Vines parking lot.
I've done
it.
So they tractor beam her finally, and they bring her up to the mothership. Well, not the mothership, but a ship, I guess.
Yeah, the mothership never broke the atmosphere. We saw
Right.
too many ships for any of those to be considered a mothership.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the mothership because P-Funk wasn't on it.
Hey, that's a good point. Out of sight, out of mind, and never mind.
Right.
Out your mind and in your mind. Where were we? Oh, so they get her on the ship, and she's like, now she's just the topic of interest. She's the most interesting thing on Earth.
In the town. We don't know how far this goes.
Has to be in the town.
Yeah.
Because we don't even know where they are. And I'd be damned if they told me the most interesting person lived in the middle of nowhere in I don't know, Oklahoma or something.
I think it's just interesting for them because she's killed a few of them, and they want to know how she rejected the slug. Maybe they haven't experienced
that. Yeah, that's a good point. And I it's like I was saying before. I think she was just so broken that they couldn't mind control her.
Maybe.
Brain was already too shattered and tattered.
Well, I think if the mind control is that they give you an illusion of a great life and happiness, she was living she don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have anybody in the town. Like if she had friends, she might have actually accepted the slug.
True.
Because it would have been like, oh, okay, this is me being with my friends. We're having a great day. But the fact that she was such a loner, she wasn't tied to anybody else. She knew immediately that anybody who was nice to her was bullshit.
There's something wrong. Yeah, something's wrong because nobody likes her.
Right.
Did you think that the fact that Maud was fuzzy was significant too?
I think it's because they didn't get to model her because she's dead.
They couldn't
recreate.
Yeah, I think they could only make an image similar to her. I don't think they were able to make like a facial layout because she's older. They're trying to paint her as older. Like they're intelligent enough to be able to put together the context clues, but they're not intelligent enough, or excuse me, they're not skilled as fighters. That's not what their abilities are. So they simply, they're maybe this particular alien we saw in this is just the research team for the actual invasion. Like if we can't do it peacefully, we got a whole other group we gonna send. So y'all better hope they work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's just because Maud didn't exist anymore, and the only reference they have to her is that picture, and then they have to scale her up years, and that's going to be an imperfect image for Bryn. Because she wasn't even really she could see her, but couldn't really see her. It's like a dream when you can't actually see a face. Yeah.
And I think the other part of that is everybody in the town was probably simulated. Their dream was a simulated day in the town with each other.
Maybe.
Because it's a small town. Everybody's in town every day doing the same stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the aliens bloop her, and she goes into her memories.
Mind probe.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Then the mind probe is where we see what I was discussing earlier. And that's where we see a lot of the intricacies. We see the things that make things start making sense. Why does everybody hate Maud? Why does everybody hate Bryn? Because she killed Maud in a heated childhood argument where she smacked her with a rock in the temple and killed her.
Tragedy.
Why does actually that's really the main thing we find out, and from there we learn about all of the hate that she's received. And I think again that's where I go back to thinking, they really just started feeling bad for her. Like that's why she was the one at the end. Because
maybe
maybe,
but I just feel like they were kind of ambivalent. I feel like they were kind of ambivalent about the whole thing. Like they let her go through her shit, and then she comes to terms with her younger self, and they have that moment where they're sitting and interfacing with each other, and then so she comes to peace with that, and then it's the mothership or the ship that rejects her.
That is true.
So it's not really the aliens; it's whatever the ship was saying to the aliens. That's when they were like, all right, beam her back. She's done. So I really think that they were kind of ambivalent in that whole thing. A lot of people were really upset because they were thinking they were making the aliens are making some moral judgment about how she's worthy to not be taken over.
No, I don't think
I don't think that that's the case at all. I think that they just realized that she's essentially already
one of them.
She's already a drone. Yeah.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a full life anyway. So they can't give her a fantasy to placate her.
All they need to do is make the other drones nice to her, and then she'll fall right in line.
Yep.
What if when they mind booped her, whatever the thing that told them to send her back, it was also viewing, and it came to terms of she's not going to fight back anymore.
I think that that's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Like what Mike said, if everybody else is a drone, then she can just blend in. And
all they have to do is make them be nice to her. Yeah.
That's it. That's literally all she needed was people to not call her a freak every time she walked out the door.
Yep.
Right. You see, she got to dance with the neighbor dude who gave her the dirty look in the beginning. And she got to dance with the chick because,
why she didn't dance with no people her age?
Hey, man.
I don't know. What's her age?
What's her age again?
I don't know. She's in her mid-20s. I think she's
but,
fine.
But you know what I mean.
I guess. I don't know.
That looks like.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We got to get. She gets sent back, and then she's all bloody, laying on the floor, laughing like the Joker,
Right.
With a hole in her belly.
With a hole in her belly, and then it flashes forward, and she's doing her Stepford wife thing, where she's got the 50s hair and the red lipstick, and she's running outside with her sundress and all of that. Yeah. And everybody is, I kind of like when she walks out, everybody's working on her house and she waves and they all are like
wave back simultaneously,
mechanically waving at her. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And then she goes to the center of town and has like a little dance with, again, like they said, the guy that was rude to her before. Yes. And she is loving her life. And she kind of moves away from her dance and then stares at the camera for a while, very breathily. As the camera rises up to see that the aliens are all over the sky. And that's it, man. That's it.
I do like the thought of having to play with the theory of, is she dead after the stab wounds and things? But I would assume from the pan out and seeing all the saucers flying around and all of that, nah, she's very much so alive in the world that they have now molded. And one of the theories I saw, which I thought was very interesting, was perhaps one of the reasons they were also accepting of Bryn is she had a calm replica of the town that was not like the town actually was because of her experiences there, and the image that she had built for the town was the same image that they were building for the town that they wanted to control.
Yeah, it's a Stepford thing. She was happy to live in her little toy village.
Correct.
Now she lives in her little toy village. I mean, like, essentially they kind of Beetlejuice her into like the model town and everybody else. And,
there you go.
Yeah. But she's very much alive because you see the remnant of her head wound as she's looking at herself in the mirror. She has a little bit of blood still on her head. So
she's the Terminator.
She's the Terminator. And a lot of people are mad because they think that, they don't like the fact that the ending ended the way it did, but I think it's actually perfect. She would be okay with everybody.
What would be a better ending?
I don't know, but this is a character that would be okay with everybody being lobotomized if they were all just nice to her.
Right. That's what I'm saying. What would be a better ending?
I have no idea. I don't know. I think people wanted her to be like,
I'm gonna kill all the aliens.
Right, exactly.
They wanted her to be the savior for sure.
Okay, Ripley.
Right.
I will say that was one of my favorite things about this movie is, we didn't have a savior. Like, there is no, oh my God, we have to save everybody. They should have saved yourself before we got this.
Look at the title.
No one will save you.
No,
exactly.
Save yourself. Right. You're weak-minded.
Well, I think the greater theme is that no one's gonna save anyone. We're all gonna be taken over.
Look, not in America, at least.
Yes. Somebody shot at them aliens.
Down in Texas, for sure.
I ain't even talking Texas. I'm talking about down the street.
Oh, down the street. Yeah, look, listen. I ain't saying that all the continent got to be outside waving ARs at the sky. I ain't saying that. Not saying that at all. What I'm saying is the only place you can legally go outside, one of the few places you can legally go outside and bust in the air and ain't nobody coming for you, in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we kind of did that. Never mind. I understand what you're saying.
Hey, we are on air. What are you talking
about? I never heard nothing like that.
What are you talking about? Exactly. I didn't say anything.
All I'm saying is they got one of those confetti bazookas, right?
I was thinking a t-shirt cannon.
Right.
Yeah.
Potato cannon.
Yeah, there you go. I think spud guns are illegal, so never mind.
Are they now?
Probably in California,
Wait. I'm gonna say this, then we can finish this and get right back. Spud guns are illegal, but flamethrowers are on the open market now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's a restriction on flamethrowers at all. Actually,
no.
Well, to be fair, you got to be pretty stupid to even be playing with those.
That's true.
A flamethrower.
Yeah.
You more likely gonna kill yourself than you gonna kill other people.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it squirts out like
Put it like this: people killing
petroleum
themselves with
jelly.
accident with guns.
I'm sure. Oh yeah, with regular guns.
It-
Yeah, a Draco ain't a flamethrower. They just,
right.
But
Well, I mean, it's called a Draco.
it shoot. Never mind. We'll talk about that.
All right, let's get to ratings.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Who wants to go first?
Mike.
I gave it a solid 8. Solid 8.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. Solid 8.
You said 8. I swear you said a solid A, and I'm like, so we doing letters now?
I gave it an alpha and omega. No, man. Nah, solid 8. Solid 8. Because it was enjoyable, even though there was no dialogue. Like you said before, it's strong visuals, tell a really good story. I didn't like certain aspects of it, and it's really just, why are we playing with her? Go on and kill it. Just kill her. That's what I kept saying. Since we didn't do that, though, I was like, all right, cool. We're not going to kill her. We're going to turn it. Oh, we turning people into drones. She's going to be king of the drones. All right. So be it. Still told a good story without even using any words.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stand on that 8.
Nice.
Fair enough.
I like that.
Yeah. I am right there with you. I think that this is an 8 too. I really enjoy this movie. I think that the visual storytelling is really good. I think it's a good monster movie. I think it's it's not too scary. There's a little bit of suspense going on for sure, especially with the sound design is very good. Cinematography is good. It's dark, but you can see what's going on, which is always nice. Let's see. I think the story is clean. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like an extended Twilight Zone episode, which I like. So, I think it's an 8 for me too.
Very nice. Very nice. For me, I did like the movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't feel like the end fit at first. In hindsight, the end doesn't fit because it doesn't fit the rhetoric we're used to. And that makes it a better ending than any ending we could have fathomed as viewers. Because of that, I actually had this at a 7, but you guys just gave me a thought. I can't really say too many things I don't like. We know, don't cross at 8 if it ain't making you cry or pulling certain emotions from you. But this is a nearly perfectly done movie, not a perfect movie, but a perfectly executed movie. With that, I'm also going to run with an 8 because I see no reason not to give it an 8. So yeah. This also gets an 8 for me.
We've seen a lot of trash, and I think that this one was enjoyable, honestly. Got to give credit where credit's due, and again, it's a good monster flick.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I can't really fault it for anything. And for so many times we've seen like a movie where they explain something instead of showing us.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the exact opposite of that. Mm-hmm. Everything is just being shown. You don't get explanations for anything, and that's kind of fun because then you can piece things together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's no War of the Worlds.
It is
no War of the Worlds. Well, which War of the Worlds? War of the Worlds.
Not
one that we were.
Yes.
Not the one we just watched.
Yes.
The one we just watched. Yeah.
I wasn't gonna go back as Tom Cruise, and I wasn't gonna go back past that one either.
You want to know what's crazy? I forgot about the one we just watched until you said which one.
Since it was that bad. But I couldn't say Supercell because that one didn't have aliens in it.
That's true.
I think Supercell was better than World of Worlds, no?
Very marginal.
I'm not saying it's an easy decision, but both of them were not good.
I'm pretty sure I gave one of those a 0, so I don't know.
I only made it relatable because both of them had aliens.
I actually forgot what my ratings were for either of those, so we're just gonna run and say both of them possibly were 0s and move back on, and no one will save you.
Oh, they're both snacks. They're both Dookie snacks, so either way.
I'm gonna say snacks are good, sir. Oh, Dookie snacks, yeah, that's different.
Yep.
Yeah, those aren't delicious. They have bits of corn in them, though.
Oh God. Guess we should hold. Now we gotta hold an episode about things that aren't digestible. Thanks, Mike. But
Corn
with
kernel.
that being said, that is a solid 8 for No One Will Save You. So if you have stuck around with us, hung out, and you are here, we appreciate you guys. We have nothing but love for all of those who come through, hang out with us. Shout out to Big Happy SA Tex. We appreciate you down there in San Antonio, it seems like from your name. We appreciate you down in Texas for hollering at us, checking us out, because we're never aware of who sees what we are doing here. So we appreciate you for hanging out, for commenting, and letting us know that you are a part of our stream this evening.
Yeah, thank you.
For those who this is your first time around, and or maybe you just haven't seen us visually before, this is the time that you will look at your screen and you will see the litany, the cacophony, the cacophony, if you will, of podcasts that we have for you all the way through the week. These are things that we have passion for, things that we enjoy bringing to you. Some of them have a back catalog. Some of them have currently updated catalogs. Let me give you those names. You take down the names and check all of the platforms that you enjoy listening to and watching things on. If Numbers Could Talk, Screen Time Continuum, you're right here with us, so you already know where to find us. Strawberries and Coffee, King_of Ilion, King_of_Ilion. Both of those are available on Twitch and plausibly YouTube, depending on when you check them out. The Exofathom in This Married Moment. Once again, we appreciate you guys for checking this out with us, coming in, seeing what we review, seeing how we talk, what we talk about. And also we appreciate you for allowing us to be honest with you, because we live in a world where everybody's not doing that. And because of that, we're trying to give you as much of that as we absolutely can. For the Screen Time Continuum, my name is Keelan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Mike.
Thanks a lot. Come back around, tell your friends, thumbs up, thumbs down, doesn't matter to us. As long as you're here, we appreciate you.
You know what, fellas? I can't wait for us to make it big so I can start lying to the people.
Oh, man.
I'm ready.
Paywall going up.